What if the perfect woman isn't who you think she is? We're talking about the Sigma female, confident, calm, untouchable. She doesn't chase, she attracts. And here's the thing, more men than you realize fantasize about being under her control, not because she's domineering, but because she's different. So what's really going on here? Is it a primal instinct, or a modern desire for something deeper? There's something magnetic about a woman who doesn't need anyone, but still chooses who she lets in. That kind of power doesn't come from ego, it comes from experience. A Sigma female has seen what it's like to depend on the wrong people, to give too much, to be underestimated, and she's not playing that game anymore. Her independence is quiet, but it speaks volumes. She's not trying to prove that she's strong. She just is. A Sigma female lives by her own code. She doesn't play by society's rules, and that's what sets her apart. She doesn't measure success by who likes her, who validates her, or who stays. She measures it by peace, growth, and self-respect. That's why she moves differently. Men notice that. Not the loud ones, the ones who crave attention and need validation, but the ones who see beneath the surface, the observant ones, the ones who notice how she carries herself when no one's watching, the ones who sense that power in her silence. Her presence says more than her words ever could. It's not about being distant, it's about being intentional. She doesn't give her time away freely because she knows her time has value. When a Sigma female walks into a room, the energy shifts. Not because she demands attention, but because her energy commands it. She's centered, she's calm, she's aware, and that combination is rare. Most people are either too loud or too lost. She's neither. Her independence? It's not rebellion, it's peace. She's not fighting anyone. She's not trying to outdo anyone. She's simply living on her terms in a world that keeps trying to control her. There's something profoundly freeing about that. She's built her world, her rhythm, her calm, and that's intimidating in the most addictive way. She doesn't just live, she thrives in solitude. And it's not loneliness, it's clarity. When you've learned to be your own source of peace, you stop settling for chaos. She doesn't chase attention because she knows how to fill her own cup. She's not waiting for love to save her because she already saved herself. That's what men pick up on, even if they can't explain it. They're drawn to her the way people are drawn to a flame, curious, cautious, fascinated. There's a confidence in her stillness that makes others second-guess their own noise. Men crave that kind of self-control because deep down, it's something they're still chasing within themselves. They might not say it out loud, but they feel it. A Sigma female doesn't overreact. She doesn't play emotional games. When something bothers her, she pauses, processes, and chooses her response. That's emotional intelligence, that's maturity, and that kind of stability is magnetic. Most people don't realize how rare it is to meet someone who's mastered their emotions, who doesn't let others dictate their peace. Men see that and feel both admiration and curiosity. It's not about being controlled, it's about being around someone who has control of herself, her emotions, her energy. And that's rare. In a world full of impulsive behavior, scrolling distractions and emotional chaos, she's composed. She doesn't need to prove herself, and that alone makes her unforgettable. She's not moved by drama or gossip. She's focused on her mission, her growth, her evolution. When a man meets a Sigma female, it challenges him to step up. Not because she tells him to, but because her presence exposes what he's missing. Her independence holds up a mirror to every man still trying to find himself. She doesn't compete with men. She complements those who can match her energy. That's why she intimidates the insecure and inspires the mature. Her energy doesn't shout, "I'm strong." It whispers, "I'm enough." And that's where her power lies. She doesn't manipulate. She doesn't play mind games. Her boundaries are firm, her expectations clear, and her self-respect unshakable. That's control, but it's not control over others. It's control over self. And that's the kind of control that can't be faked. She's the type of woman who can sit alone at dinner without touching her phone, who can enjoy silence without needing to fill it. She's comfortable in her own company because she knows who she is. And when you know who you are, you stop chasing what isn't meant for you. Men see that independence and call it mystery. But it's not mystery, it's mastery. She's mastered herself, her emotions, her reactions, her desires, all balanced. And that kind of emotional balance is what men secretly fantasize about being around. Because deep down, everyone wants peace, and she embodies it effortlessly. Her confidence doesn't come from attention, it comes from alignment. She knows what she wants, what she tolerates, and what she walks away from. That clarity is what keeps her grounded. She doesn't beg anyone to stay because she trusts what leaves was never hers. She's not bitter, she's just selective, and that's power. When she lets someone in, it's not out of loneliness, it's out of genuine connection. She doesn't crave validation, she craves depth. And when she finds it, she gives loyalty that runs deep. But here's the thing, she never loses herself in the process. Her independence doesn't fade in love, it expands. Because she doesn't see love as surrender, she sees it as synergy. Two whole people building something greater, not one completing the other. That's why men fantasize about her control. It's not about dominance, it's about harmony. She brings balance, purpose, calm, the kind that can only come from someone who's already done the inner work. She doesn't drain you, she centers you. Being around her feels like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. She brings stability without even trying. That's why the Sigma female stands apart from every other archetype. She doesn't flaunt her independence, it's just who she is. And in a world obsessed with noise, she's the silence that commands attention. Her mind is her kingdom, her peace, her power, her solitude, her weapon. And the truth is, no one gives her permission to be this way. She claimed it. And once you claim your peace the way she has, no one can take it from you. That's why she's magnetic. That's why men notice. That's why she's not just desired, she's respected. Here's something wild. Control isn't always about power. Most people automatically assume control means dominance, showing authority, or bending others to your will. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Control can be subtle, refined, and completely internal. Sometimes it's about safety. It's about creating a space where things feel stable, predictable, and calm, even when the world around you is chaotic. Men live in chaos, constant competition, pressure from work, societal expectations, noise from social media, constant demands, and unending responsibilities. Their minds are often running 100 directions at once, processing stress, anxiety, and uncertainty, all while trying to keep up appearances. When they meet a Sigma female, they sense order. She doesn't need to raise her voice or force her will. Her presence alone signals stability. Her energy communicates that things can be calm here, that there's a rhythm to her life, and that this rhythm won't bend for unnecessary drama. She knows her boundaries, and she sticks to them. It's not about stubbornness or rigidity, it's about clarity. She knows what's acceptable and what's not, and she enforces that without question. That clarity is magnetic because it gives people a sense of security. She doesn't beg, doesn't argue, doesn't play mind games. She doesn't waste her energy proving herself or testing loyalty. What she offers is real, and she expects the same in return. That's refreshing in a world full of uncertainty and manipulation. That discipline, it brings calm to a man's restless mind. It's the kind of calm that's rare in modern life, where everyone seems hurried, reactive, and distracted. When he sees her navigate life with quiet focus, when she responds with composure instead of reaction, it makes him pause. Even if he won't say it, he respects that quiet dominance. He recognizes it instinctively. It's not loud or obvious, but it's there, and it resonates. It's like a stabilizing force that balances his chaos, whether he realizes it or not. It's like she's saying, "You can stay, but only if you bring peace, not drama." And it's not a threat, it's a boundary. It's a gentle challenge. She isn't punishing him for his mistakes or flaws. She's simply asking for respect for the space she's created. That kind of energy doesn't demand. It invites. It doesn't impose. It welcomes. It doesn't push people away with intensity. It draws them in with stability. And honestly, that's what makes it irresistible. There's something profoundly attractive about a woman who has mastered her environment, who has mastered herself, and who can provide a sense of order without controlling another person. Men feel it in the energy, in the way she moves, in the way she speaks, in the quiet confidence that says she doesn't need validation. That appeal isn't shallow or superficial, it's deeply psychological. People crave environments where they feel safe, where they can lower their guard, and where they know what to expect. A Sigma female provides that without even trying. She isn't rigid or inflexible, but she's consistent. She doesn't bend for nonsense, and that consistency creates trust. Men are drawn to that because chaos is exhausting. Life can be overwhelming, but being around her is like stepping into a calm room after running through a storm. It's comforting, grounding, and surprisingly intoxicating. This isn't about control in the traditional sense. It's about the self-control she embodies and the energy she radiates. She doesn't let her emotions dictate her actions. She doesn't react impulsively, and she doesn't allow external drama to disturb her inner peace. That kind of control is magnetic because it's aspirational. Men aren't necessarily looking to be dominated. They're looking to be around someone who has figured themselves out, someone who doesn't need to be validated, someone who has established her own rules and lives by them. That independence within structure is what makes her appealing. When she moves through life with intention, she communicates safety, stability, and clarity without saying a word. That energy is almost like a magnet for those who crave it, even if they don't consciously understand why. It's the balance of strength and serenity, of clarity and flexibility that draws people in. The Sigma female's boundaries are clear, but they're not walls, they're guides. She's showing what she values and what she expects, and that's profoundly attractive. When someone respects those boundaries, they feel like they've earned a place in her world. That earned respect feels more meaningful than anything forced or superficial. And that's why the appeal of structure in chaos is so powerful. In a world where so much is uncertain, unpredictable, and messy, being around someone who has mastered herself and her environment is intoxicating. It's a rare energy, one that provides balance, safety, and calm without compromise. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't need to. It simply exists, quietly commanding respect and admiration. Men aren't fantasizing about control in the sense of dominance. They're drawn to the security, clarity, and calm she represents. Her energy says, "I've got my life together, and I know what I stand for." That energy is magnetic. It's alluring. It's irresistible. And that's why Sigma females naturally attract people who are drawn to order amidst chaos. Because in her presence, the storm doesn't feel as chaotic. It's not about control over others. It's about control over self. And that is infinitely more powerful. Men notice that. Even if they can't articulate it, they feel it. And that feeling is what keeps them coming back. That sense of stability, discipline, and calm is rare, and it's a part of her allure. It's the reason she stands apart from everyone else. It's not about being controlling, it's about being self-possessed, centered, and disciplined. And that presence, it's unforgettable. This isn't about her trying to dominate a man. Most people misunderstand the idea of control or influence when it comes to a Sigma female. She's not interested in forcing anyone to do anything, and she's certainly not interested in ego battles or power plays. Her energy isn't about overpowering others or proving herself through others. It's about mastery. Mastery of herself, her emotions, her decisions, and her environment. That mastery naturally draws respect, but it isn't something she seeks or demands. She doesn't raise her voice, she doesn't posture, and she doesn't need to advertise her value. It's quietly present in everything she does, from the way she handles challenges to the way she carries herself through her day. It's about respect. She understands that respect is earned, not given. She knows that admiration comes naturally when someone consistently demonstrates competence, confidence, and authenticity. And that's exactly what a Sigma female embodies. Respect for her isn't something she hands out lightly, and she certainly doesn't compromise her standards for validation. Instead, she shows up fully in her life, fully committed to her goals, and fully aligned with her values. Sigma females earn respect, not by shouting, not by showing off, but by being undeniably competent. She doesn't have to talk about her achievements or highlight her strengths. They speak for themselves. Whether she's leading a project at work, managing her personal life with grace, or navigating complex social dynamics, her skill and capability are evident to anyone paying attention. She delivers results, she handles problems with clarity and composure, and she does it without arrogance or flashiness. Her competence isn't performative, it's natural, effortless, and consistent. She knows her worth. She doesn't rely on others to tell her she's valuable because she already knows. That self-awareness comes from experience, growth, and countless moments of proving to herself that she's capable of more than anyone might have expected. She doesn't shrink herself to fit into anyone else's expectations, and that authenticity is magnetic. She delivers. When she sets out to achieve something, she follows through. Promises are met, tasks are completed, and goals are realized. She doesn't take shortcuts or look for easy praise. Her consistency builds trust, admiration, and a subtle authority that doesn't need to be enforced. She handles her life like it's an art form. Every decision, every interaction, every boundary is carefully considered, intentional, and aligned with her inner standards. There's a rhythm to the way she moves through life, and it's one that commands attention without demanding it. Her life isn't chaotic, reactive, or desperate for recognition. It's intentional, purposeful, and measured. When a man sees that, something shifts. It isn't just superficial attraction, it's deeper than that. He notices that she isn't like others, that her energy isn't loud or insecure, and that her presence feels grounding rather than draining. Her competence and self-possession naturally spark admiration. It's not a casual wow or fleeting interest, it's a recognition of something rare. He doesn't want to compete, he wants to witness. He doesn't feel the need to outshine her or prove himself. Instead, he feels invited to observe, learn, and engage with her on her level. That's a profound difference. Many men are used to relationships that demand attention, ego battles, or constant validation. With a Sigma female, it's different. He's not being challenged in a way that diminishes him. He's being inspired to meet her energy, to rise naturally to her level, and to feel the stability that comes from being around someone so self-assured. And that's when admiration starts to look like fascination. Fascination doesn't come from superficial traits or fleeting beauty. It comes from the combination of competence, self-awareness, and inner strength. He's captivated because he recognizes the rarity of her presence, the clarity of her mind, and the depth of her capability. It's an energy that doesn't need embellishment, but it leaves a lasting impression. Because he realizes her control isn't about ego. She isn't seeking to dominate, manipulate, or manipulate anyone to prove her worth. Her control comes from purpose, from intentionality, from mastery of self and circumstance. She guides her life with focus, and anyone who comes near her feels the pull of that energy. It's inspiring, humbling, and magnetic all at once. And following her lead doesn't make him weak. It makes him feel grounded. Being in the presence of someone so competent, self-sufficient, and assured doesn't diminish him. It stabilizes him. It provides a sense of direction, a sense of clarity, and a subtle reminder of what focus, discipline, and intentional living look like. He experiences the peace that comes from alignment and respect, and he feels valued. Because he's allowed to engage with her energy authentically. She doesn't need to demand loyalty or obedience. Her actions naturally encourage respect, admiration, and alignment. Her influence is quiet but powerful, drawing people in without pressure. She doesn't manipulate, she doesn't coerce, and she doesn't enforce her will. She simply embodies the energy that others naturally want to align with. And that's the essence of her power. Beyond dominance, beyond superficial attraction, beyond the myths of control, it's respect and competence that define her presence. She isn't impressive because she wants to be. She's impressive because she's real, intentional, and relentlessly capable. And that combination is rare. It's what separates her from everyone else. It's what makes a man stop, notice, and feel a pull he can't explain. It's what turns admiration into fascination and respect into desire. It's what creates the kind of magnetic energy that doesn't fade over time because it isn't built on surface-level traits or fleeting attention. It's built on mastery, authenticity, and undeniable capability. A Sigma female isn't someone who dominates for the sake of power. She embodies purpose, clarity, and competence in every aspect of her life. That's what commands respect, inspires fascination, and leaves a lasting impression on anyone who encounters her. So think about it. How often do you meet someone who's completely in control of themselves but doesn't need to show it off? That's magnetic, right? If you're feeling that energy, hit that like button. It helps me know you're with me. Let's keep going. Now, here's where it gets deep. The Sigma female isn't like anyone else you've met. She carries an energy that's subtle, intentional, and profoundly magnetic, but it's never loud or obvious. Her presence doesn't shout for attention. It exists quietly, confidently, and deliberately. The kind of allure she has isn't superficial. It's not based on trendy looks, flashy clothes, or social validation. It's deeper than that. It's energy, presence, and a way of being that makes people notice without even trying. The Sigma female always seems just a little out of reach, and that's not an accident. She doesn't play games, she doesn't manipulate situations to seem mysterious, and she doesn't use tricks to keep people hooked. She is genuinely a little out of reach because her life, her priorities, and her inner world are carefully curated and protected. She moves through her day with intention. She doesn't bend for unnecessary demands or distractions. She doesn't give her energy freely because she understands its value, not because she's playing hard to get, but because she's genuinely hard to reach. Her life is full, her focus is sharp, her boundaries are clear. She doesn't tolerate chaos that doesn't serve her growth. She doesn't compromise her standards for attention or validation. To someone who hasn't experienced this type of presence, it can feel frustrating, confusing, and irresistible all at the same time. Her energy says, "Earn my peace. Match my focus." She communicates through her actions and demeanor that her time, her attention, and her presence are not commodities to be taken lightly. There's a quiet demand in the way she moves, a subtle standard that is never lowered for convenience. She's not testing anyone. She's simply living according to her principles, and that level of integrity is magnetic. That mystery drives men crazy. There's something about a person who isn't immediately attainable that triggers curiosity, desire, and admiration. It's not about her being aloof for attention. It's about the natural magnetism that comes from having a fully realized sense of self. Men notice it instinctively. They can't always articulate what it is, but they feel it. Her energy doesn't scream, "Come closer." It whispers, "If you're worthy, you'll understand." It's the kind of allure that can't be taught or faked because it comes from authenticity, clarity, and self-possession. It's not the kind of attraction built on looks. It's built on curiosity. Her beauty isn't only physical, it's intellectual, emotional, and energetic. Men are drawn to her because they want to understand what makes her tick, how she navigates the world, and why she seems so composed, confident, and untouchable. They want to understand her, crack her code, be the one who gets in. There's a challenge in her presence, but it isn't about testing people for entertainment. It's a natural consequence of her boundaries, her focus, and her self-respect. Most people aren't used to encountering someone who operates at that level. They want to know her secrets, to see behind the calm exterior, to feel like they are part of her inner world. But the truth is, most never do. The majority of men who encounter a Sigma female will never fully understand her or earn the depth of her trust. That's not because she's cold or unkind. It's because she is selective with her energy and attention. She doesn't let just anyone in. Her inner world is protected and sacred, and she only allows people who match her focus, integrity, and energy to get close. That exclusivity is part of what makes her so captivating, and that's what keeps the fantasy alive. The idea of her is tantalizing precisely because she isn't available to everyone, because she isn't easily understood, because she operates according to principles that are above average and above expectation. People are fascinated by what they can't have because it feels like a puzzle, a challenge, and a standard all-in-one. Because she's not a trophy, she's a mirror that reflects where they still lack discipline, confidence, or direction. When a man encounters a Sigma female, he doesn't just see her, he sees himself reflected back in her presence. He notices what he lacks, what he hasn't mastered, and what he needs to grow into in order to even approach her level of focus and self-possession. She doesn't intentionally highlight his weaknesses. Her energy simply exposes them by contrast. Her self-control, her clarity, and her composure act like a mirror to anyone who comes near her. And that's uncomfortable for many, but for those who are ready, it's transformative. Her presence forces growth, and not every man is ready for that. Some will shy away, intimidated by the standards she embodies and the depth of awareness she radiates. Others will feel challenged, insecure, or frustrated, and they will move on. But the men who are ready to match her focus, align with her energy, and grow into their own potential will find her presence inspiring, grounding, and empowering. That's what makes the Sigma female so distinct and so magnetic. Her unattainability isn't a game. It's a byproduct of her alignment with herself, her values, and her life's purpose. She doesn't chase attention, validation, or approval. She attracts people who are ready to meet her on her terms, and that's why her energy is so potent. She doesn't give herself away lightly because she knows the cost of her attention and energy. It's valuable, rare, and deliberate. And when someone earns it, they recognize it immediately. That energy doesn't scream dominance, it radiates mastery. It doesn't manipulate, it inspires. It doesn't demand, it challenges. That's why the unattainable archetype is so compelling. It's not about being inaccessible for the sake of ego, it's about being fully realized, fully aligned, and fully present. Her presence forces introspection, self-improvement, and clarity for anyone who comes near her. Most men aren't prepared for that kind of challenge, and that's why so many find themselves fascinated, intrigued, and captivated by her energy. She's rare, not because she's unreachable by chance, but because she lives in alignment with herself and refuses to compromise for anyone who cannot meet her standards. That rarity amplifies desire, fuels curiosity, and makes the Sigma female unforgettable. The mystery she embodies is not superficial. It's profound, layered, and rooted in mastery. It's her life, her principles, and her inner work that make her magnetic, not just her looks or charm. And the truth is, the fantasy men create around her often says more about what they lack than what she possesses. She becomes a mirror for growth, reflection, and aspiration. That combination of mystery, depth, and intentionality is what defines the archetype of the unattainable Sigma female. She isn't a puzzle to be solved for entertainment. She is a standard, a guide, and a reflection of what alignment, discipline, and self-possession look like. Meeting her requires preparation, maturity, and self-awareness, and not everyone is ready for that. Her energy challenges, inspires, and elevates, and that is why she will always be just a little out of reach for most, keeping the allure alive, the fascination burning, and the admiration continuous. Drop a comment if you've felt that before. It's wild how grounding it can be. All right, let's move to the next point. We're living in a time where traditional roles don't fit anymore. The world has shifted, and so have expectations. What used to be seen as normal in relationships, in gender dynamics, and in social roles is no longer universal or mandatory. Men and women alike are questioning the old scripts, the societal norms that dictated how people should behave, what they should value, and how they should interact with each other. In this changing landscape, the idea of masculinity itself is evolving. Men aren't always looking for submission, they're looking for balance. They are realizing that old ideas of control, dominance, and rigid gender roles no longer satisfy the complexities of modern life. They want a partnership that challenges them, supports them, and brings out the best in them. They want a connection that feels real, stabilizing, and mutual rather than transactional or performative. And Sigma females, they bring that energy in full force. They don't fit into old expectations either. They're independent, self-sufficient, and aligned with themselves. But they are not cold, distant, or dismissive. They understand the importance of balance, not just for themselves, but for those they allow into their lives. They are fully capable of creating harmony without sacrificing their autonomy. She doesn't want control over someone. She wants control within herself. Her focus is inward, not outward. She is concerned with mastering her own emotions, her decisions, her boundaries, and her energy. She isn't looking to dominate or manipulate others to prove her worth. It comes from alignment, respect, and mutual growth. They are drawn to women who embody that because it challenges them to become more present, disciplined, and aware themselves. It's a shift from old paradigms where masculine energy was measured by authority and control to one where emotional intelligence, balance, and self-awareness define attraction and admiration. Sigma females are at the forefront of this shift. They don't conform to outdated roles. They don't need to prove themselves or to enforce traditional structures to be respected or admired. Instead, they exemplify the qualities that matter most in this evolving world: self-possession, clarity, calm, and purpose. When a man encounters a Sigma female, he doesn't fantasize about controlling her or dominating her. He is fascinated by the structure, clarity, and peace she embodies, because these are qualities he subconsciously desires for himself and for the connection he seeks. He senses that being around her is not about submission, but about alignment, aligning his own energy, his own focus, and his own intentions with someone who operates on a higher, more disciplined level. And because she doesn't hand that energy out lightly, because she embodies it fully and unyieldingly, it's something you embody. Keep that. Protect that. Don't dilute yourself for the sake of approval, attention, or temporary satisfaction. Don't compromise your values, your rhythm, or your clarity to fit someone else's narrative of who they want you to be. The world, in all its chaos, will try to pull you into distractions, drama, and expectations that aren't yours to carry. But your energy, your calm, your intentionality, those are the things that make you remarkable. That's what people notice. That's what they can't stop thinking about. That's what creates admiration, respect, and even fascination. Your influence is subtle, but it is undeniable. When you protect your peace, live deliberately, and honor your boundaries, you operate from a place of power that isn't threatening. It's inspiring. Men may fantasize about what they perceive as control, but the truth is, they are drawn to the harmony, the clarity, and the alignment that you have mastered within yourself. That energy can't be faked, bought, or borrowed. It comes from inner work, self-respect, and unwavering commitment to your own path. That's the essence of being a Sigma female, and it's what leaves a lasting impression. The takeaway is simple. Don't exist for anyone else's fantasies, desires, or expectations. Exist for your own freedom, your own clarity, your own peace. That authenticity, that self-possession, and that alignment, that's what makes you unforgettable. That's what commands respect, admiration, and genuine fascination. Keep your peace, protect it, honor it, and know that living in alignment with yourself, unapologetically and intentionally, is the real source of your power, your allure, and your magnetic energy in the world.